Hey, what's going down, everybody? It's your boy, Mr. Southern Faker, Shotty from the R&B Talk Show. This brother right here, let me tell you something. Don't need no introduction. I've been following this cat since 1996, where he exploded with the multi-platinum recording group As Yet. Also award winning too. So let me add that in a notch and stuff. And so, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, welcome, Shawn Rivera.
What's good? What's good? Thanks for having me, first of all. I've been rocking with you since the beginning. And we're just talking about, our personal journeys. First of all, I would like to say that the opinions expressed by this guest may not be those of the podcast or its affiliates. And uh, I'm of sound mind and body and not suicidal. Let's get to it. Are there any restrictions to what I can and cannot say? Is this like a PG thing? I know it's after hours, but for posterity, you know,
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
may go off the rails a little. I might info dump a
That's
little.
all good. I like the person be themselves, saying, and feeling how they feel, what they should say, I just, with me, it's like this platform. I don't do controversial stuff, but I always want to make sure that each guest I had, their art is highlighted, and stuff people may not know about. They focus on that one particular thing for so long, and it might be tiring, but like, oh God, okay, let me go ahead and just
I'm with
break
you
it
on
down.
that. I'm with you on that. I'm no stranger to controversy. I don't believe in chasing drama for drama's sake. And I remember back in the day, you didn't even know what the artist looked like. I wish we knew less about the artist's personal lives and views. I want to hear the music. I want the music to be so good. It don't matter if you show up with your hairline back here like Earth, Wind, and Fire. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about the music. We're going to talk about whatever you want to talk about. Obviously, I did get a list of questions. But at the end of the day, I think the viewers that are watching, I want to thank them for rocking with me through all of my side quests and everything else in between. And I'm ready to get into it.
Absolutely. So born and raised in Philly, and man, what was your life like growing up? As a child, listen to music and stuff. What was you inspired by?
Okay, so for those who are watching who know Philly very well, being born in North Philly and spending most of my time in Frankfurt, which is adjacent to Kensington, which you may have seen all over the news.
Yeah,
Before it was Needle City, it was Crack City. So I grew up in the kind of neighborhood where gunshots were not uncommon and hip hop was just getting its start within Philly, late 70s, early 80s. Music inspired me at first to dance, man. I used to get a cardboard box, and me and my friends, we go to the furniture place and get some cardboard boxes and put our windbreakers on and do our hand spins and windmills and whatnot. Singing came later for me, but I was inspired um, by all sorts of music. Like when I was in high school, it was gospel choir. Now, I heard them singing, and I said, you know what? This is a good way to get over my fear of being around people. And there's some beautiful young ladies there. I could kind of hide on stage. I didn't want to be a singer, but I wanted to feel the music up close. I didn't know that I was a late bloomer with that. So when I got into gospel choir, I got exposed to Take Six, thanks to Ali Hyman, who's a friend of mine to this day. And when I heard Take Six, it made me cry. I had to leave the room because I'm like, something about this sound and this feeling I want to be a part of. I want to make music that makes me feel this strongly. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't about being famous. Like when I hear Stevie Wonder, I'm like, he understands me. It wasn't about wanting to be popular. I just wanted to be a part of that feeling.
absolutely. It's amazing, man, how certain songs that hit you so out of nowhere, and it's not playing by design or anything like that. It just touches you. It just kind of lets you know, like, I think it's telling me that I need to be a part of this. God's telling me something. I don't know what it is. I'm gonna have to follow through and see where we go from there. When you was like in high school, did you sing like on stage, like it's like talent shows or anything like that?
Oh man, this is a crazy story. So in I was in junior year of high school. And up until then, nobody knew me, knew I could sing. I was always an introvert. I'll say neurodivergent before it became a trend on TikTok. So I just kind of decided, why not? We had a talent competition called, it was the Central High School Apollo. We did our own Apollo. right?
Wow.
And one of the girls in gospel choir, Kadada Stribling. I hope I got her name right. I'm still trying to track her down. But me and Kadada, um, we were the ones who sang leads sometimes in the choir. So we got together and we did Atlantic Stars, Always, right, as a duet.
Uh,
And there were 30 acts that day. We went on fourth. We went on fourth. So 26 other acts went on after us. Then the next day they were going to announce the winner. Man, I forgot about it. I went home and thought, I mean, after watching everybody, I said, well, that's nice, right? Next morning, I'm sitting in class, you know, advisory, whatnot, first period, and they announced over the loudspeakers that we had won.
wow.
I'm walking down the hallway, and all of a sudden, people are coming up to me like, "Oh my goodness, are you a transfer student?" Like they didn't even know I went to the school. I was furious. When I say I was furious, that was my first taste of fame. And instantly I saw how people did not value my character, my grades, my tenacity. No one wasn't even interested in me. But oh, now that you can sing, it's like, you know, I was somebody. And I thought that that was such a shallow way to get attention that is still to this day, right? When
Mhm.
people refer to me as a singer, I know that they don't know all about me, and that's okay. I don't think I can sing like other people do, and that's all that matters because I'm in service to others when I sing. It's not about what I think I can sing. But that
Absolutely.
being said, yes, once I got that bug of recognition and attention, I did use it to my advantage because I wound up being in a group because of the attention. People thought, hey, maybe you can do something, right? And before As Yet Untitled, there was a group that I was recruited for called Dimension and Sound, where the boy Ali Hyman came over from LaSalle. He saw me singing at gospel choir and said, "You want to be in a group?" So there's a good side to being recognized for what you love, but it's almost like being in the NBA, like the kind of people that you attract that are only attracted to you because of the way they see you,
Yeah.
you know? But
Wow.
I know I could ramble on about it for a minute, but I hope I answered your question somewhere in there.
No, 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 it's good, man. No, like I like your backstory. Uh, Going from that situation, how did the whole did like leave for the group that didn't make it and stuff? As far as that part, you know, what led to As Yet forming
Well,
together?
part of the group that didn't make it was the reason why we made it, and I just had to let that be clear because,
Yeah,
you know, there are a lot of unsung heroes in the journey that never get, mentioned. So when the boy Ali saw me singing in that group, he had a group already that he was putting together. So I went out to Southwest Philly to meet with them, and one of those guys in that group wound up leaving with me. Um, and before I met Dion from As Yet,
yeah,
I was a solo artist. Claude Thomas, who is actually was in another version of As Yet, was brought back in. But he was the one that taught me how to arrange. Like he used to put stuff together on a double cassette, and I'm like, "How are you doing that?" And I'm trying to learn how to bounce harmony on one cassette to the other. You know what I'm saying? And then every
yeah,
time you make a copy, it goes up a little bit, so you got to raise your pitch a little bit. So like Claude was the one that was the arranger who taught me the art of arranging with the technology we had. He was like, Brian McKnight, you can play piano and sing. So then, As Yet was a concept that Dion Allen and myself we were both in separate groups, and he used to sing out in the street corner, and I would hear him sounding like a wolf in heat, boo, singing, right? And I'd be like, he got so much confidence, and these girls are going crazy over him, but he sounded like that somebody needed to put him out of his misery. Now, I'm a teenager. I'm a hothead. And back in those days, people would sing battle on the street. Like, you know what I'm saying? It literally was like that. And I said, man, you out here, like, what makes you think you can sing, man? Don't let these girls gas you up, right? And he looks at me and he was like, oh man, Julio's can't sing. He called me a Julio, right? So I'm like, oh, now I gotta sing, right? Right? So we start sing battling. And then he was like, I didn't know Julio's can sing. And I said, I still don't like you though, but you're all right. And that's next thing you know, we decided we were going to find the best lead singers from other groups to make a group full of lead singers, because we looked
Right.
up to groups like, you know, New Edition, where everybody had an identity and a lane. It doesn't mean that everybody is the best singer. It just means that everyone's voice fits into a harmony where everyone has is identifiable. So
Mhm.
there were so many groups in Philly that were awesome, that were better showmen, that had like a lot of different talents that we didn't have, and we would compete with them all. But we wrote all our songs a cappella. And the reason why we came up with the name, have you ever heard of the group No Question? No
Yeah.
Question. Before there were No Question, we had the boy Damon Core in our group. Now I met him through gospel choir because he was like, "Oh, you think you can sing?" When somebody in my choir was like, "You can't sing. You should hear my cousin." And then when I heard him, I said, "You know what? That boy can sing. He's touched. He is blessed. Like he made me feel something." And I said, "You know what? If you can't beat him, join him, right?" That's how it is. So we actually, the original As Yet Untitled came up about because Damon Core was reading, we were talking about songs that we were writing. And he said, "Yo, I got like 10 songs that's As Yet Untitled that I want to," and I said, "Hold up. That's what we should name our group." He was like, "10 songs?" I'm like, "No, As Yet Untitled," because we wanted to show that we can sing any kind of song, that when people asked what our sound was, we didn't want to just have one style. We were versatile. And the only other group that was really doing that at the time was actually like En Vogue, where they can go from
Yeah.
rock to rap and those kind of things. But we were trying to do something like that, something where we could take our kind of sound and apply our harmonies, our voices, and our styles to any kind of music you threw at us. You know what I mean?
Wow.
So we spent 6 years singing cover songs of every kind, a cappella, writing our songs a cappella, and then trying to get through these studio gatekeepers. Because back then everybody ain't have no home studio. You had to know somebody to even get in, and then they want to own everything you do for life just to do the recording, unless you're going to pay top dollar. It was rough, man. It was rough.
Yeah, I tell you, man, it's crazy, man, that you have to, you know, try everything just to get signed for the wrong reason, man. It's crazy, man. I tell you, this business, man, is something else. And they wonder why years later, and he got statute of limitations, everybody's getting exposed and stuff.
Well, that's definitely true. And the one thing that I noticed the most, there's a cliche sort of like statement that people make. Read your contracts. See, that would never happen to me. The contract is only as good as the person's name on it. Number two is they know that you can't afford to sue them. And even if you got the best contract in the world, don't mean they got to abide by it. You get yourself a lawyer and the label is a bigger client. So whose side do you think they really on? And if you use your own family lawyer, uh, don't be surprised when they don't answer the phone no more. I'm not saying that you should sign a bad deal, but what I'm saying is that no matter how you do it, ask yourself this: why are the world's most successful artists always in lawsuits? Way bigger than As Yet, way bigger than Boys to Men, Michael Jackson on down. Not one of them has gotten a good deal. And they way smarter, got way more money, been in the game longer. It's not the artist all the time. Yes, artists do dumb stuff, but I really think that people need to kind of like study more than the headlines before they get into this game, and
Yeah.
keep a day job.
Yeah, please. Yeah, because man, because if you quit your job, if something happens, you gotta go back home, man, to your mom's, man. Yeah, that's a problem, man.
Well, ain't it, look, some of us are lucky enough to still have moms to come back to,
Yeah,
and
facts.
it's there's a reason why mental illness and celebrity go hand in hand. It is not the natural state of human beings, and I'm thankful that my mistakes didn't go viral because I fell on stage before the internet. I would have been like,
Ah,
old
man.
boy is doing the dance. Oh, yes, that has happened. That has happened.
Yeah, thinking we had no camera phones and social media. Oh my God, man, you
Hmm.
probably, man, you be like, Dave, I can't even make a song. Y'all keep bringing that up.
But you know what? I admire the artists like Genuine who actually used it to his advantage, who worked it into the show. It's like, oh, y'all love seeing me fall. Y'all love seeing me do the little dance. I'm gonna do the little dance. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you can make fun of yourself, then they can't do nothing to you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. Good stuff. Um, how did the situation with LaFace Records came about and you being signed to the label. Here it is. The artist had Tony Braxton, Outkast, Goody Mob. Uh, yeah, well, yeah, Jermaine, he was already gone, so that don't
No,
count.
TLC was there too, and
TLC, yeah,
of course, there's some groups that the group called Choice that had Pink in it before she went solo.
yeah.
Society of Soul, Sonia Marie. There were a lot of other artists that didn't get their flowers that were really good and still working behind the scenes too. The way we got, okay, man, I always feel like I'm going to leave somebody out, but I'll say this. There was a gentleman who helped us get a demo recorded, and he took the music to a friend who got it, who was making the copies of the demo at Guitar Center in LA. Mark Coleman. Shout out to Mark Coleman. I don't know if you're watching that, but Mark Coleman was an unsung hero, and so is Maurice Wiltshire. Now, the sad part about the industry is that these guys invested in us and put together a demo that we really loved, helped us get our own music recorded, and we did some of their songs. However, you can't tell the record label, no, use these guys instead of Babyface. You feel me? So none of their songs made the record. They felt slighted, as they should have. Some kind of deal was worked out with the label, but we came to their attention through these guys who took us to the attention of Michael McQuarn, who's no longer with us, and Jacqueline McQuarn, who's no longer with us. When they heard our music, they wanted to come and meet with us, and there was a show going on in DC. It was a concert for the Border Babies, Children Abandoned at Birth, and it was Elder Barge, After Seven, and Babyface. And they said, if you can get down here, we want to meet you guys. And we all piled up in the car and drove down to DC from Philly, met in a conference room. And in that conference room, there was a staff of LaFace people, and, some other executives, people we didn't know but would come to know. And we sang live for them. And it was crazy because, we didn't have like finest gear or whatever, but Jackie McQuarn, she met with us first, and we sang in the hotel for her first. She was like, let me make sure these guys really sound like the demo before I even embarrass myself, right? After that, she said, I'm gonna go get y'all something to wear. So hats off to Jackie McQuarn. They put us to the test. We sang live, a cappella. And after we sang, they said, all right, you want to open for us tonight? We want to see what you're doing. Who's us? We're going to open for Elder Barge, for Babyface, After Seven. Man, that was it. We sang One Last Cry by Brian McKnight, a cappella, and a couple other songs. And it was so hard not to stare up and look at the big screen because we had never seen ourselves on such a huge screen. It was amazing. Amazing, life-changing moments right there. So you never know. Thing is, we knew that LaFace was forming a label. We wanted to be a part of it. It was always the place we wanted to be. But when Boyz II Men got signed, a lot of acts in Philly gave up because they're like, they're not going to sign two acts from Philly back to back, but for us, it was never about them. We knew that we were, we didn't put in all those years to walk away, at least not then. I'll say it like that. So LaFace, they took a year from the day of that show before we actually signed. And it was the longest year of our lives because we telling everybody we got pictures with Babyface and everything. We had disposable cameras, taking pictures, selfies before a selfie was the thing, right? And they're still like, well, how come y'all ain't out yet? Like if y'all was, and they thought we were lying.
Oh, man. Yeah, and see back then, didn't have social media. All you had was a picture. Nothing really. It's not like you had to record and say, "Hey, y'all look! I'm in the studio with Babyface and the crew." Yada yada yada.
Right.
So yeah.
When we got on that plane and didn't come back, it still was another year after that before the record came out.
Man.
People think it's overnight success. It was literally 8 years from the time we started. Well, the version of the group that started to the end of what debuted in '96.
Yeah, because right this time, Blue Jack Sweet was already gone. R&B was still trying to find something. Of course, you had hip hop soul that kind of like went different directions, but neo soul started coming in.
Yeah.
You got to think to yourself like you guys already had an image, or you had to come with the image. Like, man, like what could we do, man?
Oh no, that was the thing. That was a challenge because if you knew where we were from and how we moved, and you seen the streets we grew up in, the last thing you would think is to put us in some white suits. Like it was not what we would have chosen for ourselves. I'll put it that way. Did it work? Yes. But the only reason we were signed is because we were considered to be potential competition for Boys to Men. Even though we had our own lane, we weren't thinking about them like that. We were cheering them on. Like whenever they, we saw them
Yeah.
when they came out with their first record, we all went and bought it. You know what I mean? Like we love them. They from our hometown. You know what I'm saying? It was never. They tried to put us against each other when it was nothing but respect. They came to our talent shows. You know what I mean? So it was always a struggle because I never really cared about fashion. I could care less because when you live in a neighborhood where you can't dress too nice, so they're gonna rip it off you. At the last thing I'm thinking
Yeah.
about is, I'm like, whatever, right? So I just let them put whatever on me because if it looked good and as long as it don't look crazy, you're not putting me no blouse or nothing, I'm good, right? Just let it fit. Just let it fit. And I try on everything, right? But there were times when we would argue with the label because we'd take pictures with outfits that were meant for a picture, but they weren't. They were like they put some safety pin in the back or something to make it look a certain way, so you couldn't perform in it. It was so tight, and we just finished doing choreography with Swoop and doing our little silly steps and whatnot, and we couldn't wear shoes that were 2 sizes too big because they were just for a video shoot, but they didn't understand. They're just like, we want you to wear what you wore in the postcard. We're like, we can't do that.
Yeah.
But
Oh
other
well.
than that, I think if you look at, there's some pictures on my page of back in the day, the way we used to dress. I'm not saying that that's how we should have dressed, but the way that our image was crafted suited the music that wound up on the album. So, I actually give hats off to LaFace for creating an iconic style that seems to have stood the test of time. And other artists also copied our white background look. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So I ain't mad at it. I ain't mad at it. I'd
man.
rather dress like that than wearing a little bow tie like Boys to Men. I love Boys to Men, but we were not we would have got our asses kicked if we walked down the street with what they were wearing.
Yeah, man. Walking down streets with Eastland shoes, man. They're
Yeah,
like the
you know
whole
what?
dirt time.
But it worked for them. It worked for them. So I'm not knocking
Yeah.
y'all. I'm not
Cause they
knocking.
got that idea from this is one character. I think it was a show called The Hogan's Family or
Yeah,
something like
Alex
that.
Vanderpool, the
Oh
Alex
yeah.
Vanderpool era. Yes, yes, yes.
Now when you was y'all was doing the photo shoots and y'all first come from for last night, what was your thoughts? Y'all guys did this
Oh
on
man. Okay, first of all, that picture was shot after 12 hours of standing on our feet. That was actually at the video shoot. That
Oh
wasn't
wow.
a separate photo shoot. Those pictures were taken at the photo shoot at the end of the night. We've been standing on our hard bottom shoes on the platform, the little spinning lazy Susan for 12 hours. That's why everybody looked tired, like angry and we were mad that they picked that picture, to be honest, because it's like we look right. But honestly, the music was so good that I guess it didn't matter. But we were mad. I mean, we're like, really? We couldn't have even like had a chance to have a separate shoot or pose or like why we look all tired and whatever. But I guess I don't see myself the way that a woman might look at it and think, oh, that's that morning after face or whatever. I have no idea. It seemed to work. So I guess they knew better than we did what was going to sell because they did it.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. Now looking back at it, I was like, I could see Mark in the back, like, oh man, come on, man. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah, our
then I would
feet
see the
hurt.
other guys in between, they look at you like, hey, y'all ready, man? What's up?
Right, right. They didn't even count to 3. We didn't even know they took the pictures. It was just kinda like, they're taking pictures all the time and checking the lighting and stuff. They didn't show us by the way, it's not like, we had any leverage to, like, sift through all the pictures and, like, vote or any of that. What you saw was the first time we saw it. It was like, "Oh, here's your single." But again, I am not knocking none of it. I'm just saying
Yeah.
that you asked what happened, that's what happened.
That's- so by the time the song came out, it exploded, on the R&B charts going #1. There was a top 4 hit on the Hot 100 and stuff. And as a young man, at that time, what was going through your mind, man? It's like everywhere you go at people play the songs on the records, you get phone calls from your family, your friends, and You know, what was it like at that time?
You ever see the Five Heartbeats? That scene
Yeah.
where the song comes on the radio and they're like, that's us, everybody. Like, okay, I'm driving down the 101 about to connect to the 405 and a joint came on. And I'm like, wait, I didn't, because we had the recording of it. Back then we had like cassettes and CDs of it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like our own, just reference copies of it. Right. So I'm
Yeah.
like, hold up. Wait a minute. That's actually on the radio. Like there was a few times that it happened like that, where it's the first time we were all together when we heard it, the first time we're by ourselves when we heard it, the first time you're in the supermarket when you hear it, or at the club and you hear it. Like, it never gets old. It never gets old. But I'll tell you like this. By then, it was still bittersweet because of the sacrifices that had to be made to get to that point, the struggle and the suffering that you come to find out that is not what you think from the outside in. And what I mean by that is that for me personally, I can't speak for everybody, but from what I saw, I used to think, oh, if you're talented, the cream will rise to the top. They'll discover you and then they'll polish you up, give you a little, back then they gave us media training and all those things. And then the reason why they signed you is because of who you are and what you bring to the table. But that wasn't it at all. We knew Last Night was going to be a hit and we sat on it for a year.
Wow.
Because we had to wait for Face to finish other projects, which actually only helped us even more. I'm glad that he finished those projects because those projects included like Waiting to Exhale. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like so. But in the meantime, we're recording with all these other great producers. So when that song came out, when it finally came out, you couldn't tell us it wasn't going to go, 10 times platinum. It did go #1 R&B, which was the most important thing for an R&B group to go #1
Yeah.
R&B first time out. Double platinum single, and it was on the Nutty Professor soundtrack. Nutty Professor soundtrack went double platinum, and we on there with everybody, like the who's who. You know what I'm saying? So it really was. It felt like all of that leading up to it was worth it. But then you sit back and you think, well, now what? Because when you're in it and your life is kind of scheduled out for you and you have obligations and you've got the management and you got the team and you no longer can go anywhere. You can't even go to the corner and get a sandwich. It changes everything. Like people are so thirsty for fame and attention, but when they get it, they don't know how to handle it. I say myself included. I mean, I ain't wild out as bad as some folks, but it does mess with your mental because imagine you just want to get a cup of coffee, but you got to get dressed like you're going to a photo shoot and you got to take like an entourage with you because somebody might snatch you up, and then you can't get in and out of nowhere because people stop you. We had to move several times because girls were climbing through the window when they figured out where
Wow.
we live. I mean, and then you're trying to avoid lawsuits because you better check ID when these chicks show up. You don't know how old they are. If I'm not sure, you got to go. If you look like you might even be 17 out, nope, there's more where that, you know what I'm saying? But like there was so much more to think about than the average person has to deal with that it can be very overwhelming.
Yeah, because I remember when the music video debuted on Video Soul. This was kind of like the last run with Video Soul still on TV. Then it transferred to BT
Yeah.
Planet Groove, and
Yeah.
so you could not go nowhere, man. I mean, the video was played on BT, Bit I Love. Back then, we still had the
Yeah.
box. It was the MTV Jams,
Right.
Solo VH1, everything.
Oh yeah.
And when you first saw yourself on TV, what was thoughts in your head? You were like, "Oh God, that's really me right there."
Now this is crazy because looking back on it now, the youngins, they don't know. They be talking so much smack about that video. They're like, "Oh, look at that Windows 98 green screen," but to us, it was futuristic, man. You don't understand.
Yeah,
There was the only thing we had before that to compare it to, right? Like we did like, when you do like the Six Flags Great Adventure type video type thing, or you do like we did a couple local commercials, you know what I
mhm,
mean? But to go from like, I don't know, 380p to 720, like, and then the green screen was only used in movies. Like the concept was around, but it wasn't
yeah,
like everybody was using it. Man, I'm like, we look larger than life. Look at us. We walking on the clouds. But, and then every little detail, you know how many times we wound it and pointed it out? That's me right there. That's me. Like, look, there's one part where we all doing the move like this, and then you see my head pop out right there. I'm like, that's me. Like, yes, I was more excited about that video than I probably should have been, because it's the first time I'd ever been able to see myself from outside myself and be happy with it. You know what I mean? I love that video. I wouldn't change a thing. You know, wouldn't change a thing. I don't care if these kids make fun of it, because it was state of the art. Thank you, Billy Woodruff. Billy Woodruff, who produced so many Grammy Award winning artists, did that video. That video cost more than it should have by today's dollars. Totally worth
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. If people, plus the youngest got to stand back then, technology was just now starting to come in, boy. It was starting to get more advanced and stuff. Unless you have Michael Jackson money, you just take things
Thank
to a
you.
whole different
That's what I
level.
was about to say. First time artists to have
Yeah.
a legit video at all.
Yeah. Because I'm gonna tell you, '96 was a great year, because here it was. It was y'all guys. It was a 112. New Edition just came back. After Seven was still around. All these battles of the R&B groups and stuff. When you was looking at your group's name, you see the list on the Billboard chart, like, wow, man. We're right next to some of the best. Between solo and whatever else.
Right. That the best feeling was, in a weird kind of way, right? It went from being like kind of like an insult to be compared to Boys to Men to an honor. When I say an insult, not because we thought we were better than them, it was because we never were trying to compete with them. And it's like, why are you trying to put us like, we all we noticed was how much different we were than them, and everyone was looking to compare us, right? But
Yeah.
then it's like, you know what? If you're comparing us to a group that's from our hometown that is so beloved, I welcome the comparison. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Absolutely.
instead of taking it as like y'all sound like them, we never tried to sound like them. We weren't put together by a label. You know what I'm saying? We just happened to be from the same place. For instance, I write a song. I'm from Philly. If I write a song that happens to sound like a neo soul type song, and that's the music that I grew up listening to, along with other styles of music, then you're going to hear the influence. That don't mean I'm like sitting around trying to plan on being like that person. You know what I'm saying? It's
Absolutely.
just you can't help but to draw influences from Stevie Wonder and Donny Hathaway used to cover each other's songs in concerts when they were contemporaries, out of respect. So we learned Boys to Men songs. I'm still waiting to hear Boys to Men cover one of our songs. Let's go.
Hey, yeah, man. Hey, man. I can see that happening, man. I swear. Uh,
Man.
you guys performing on TV like Soul Train. I think you guys on Ricky Lake.
Oh man.
All those television shows, and it's crazy, man. I remember. I think I must be. I guess I wasn't feeling good or something. Like I was at home, and I remember I saw you guys appear on Ricky Lake's show, a talk show Town to Town, when Ricky Lake was on fire at the time.
Yeah, man.
Everything. And what was it like? You performing those,
Well, it
situations.
depends on the show, right? So to me, what was most culturally significant and full circle was doing Showtime at the Apollo, because we had been there as
Yeah,
amateurs. We'd been there as special guests when our management, this is before the record deal. So to come back as a signed artist, and we knew what we were getting into, and, that feeling was like that was it. Now, with Ricky Lake, we knew we had crossed over into a wider audience, and it was like, and the thing is, they didn't really look, it was what you saw was actually what it was. It was just as much of a surprise to us who we were going to sing for. And this girl, like, just to make her life, like she's
yeah.
her biggest, she won the contest to meet us, and to see someone light up like that, like we meant so much to this, just to one person like that, it really like touched me. Now, on the flip side, there are some things that you don't know what you're getting into until you get into it. Now, you ever see our performance on All That? All
I
That,
I
Nickelodeon.
remember that. Yeah, it's been a long time. Yeah,
All That had just kind of, at that time, it's not a show that we had heard of, but we heard of Nickelodeon.
yeah,
When I look back on it now, I'm like, why they have us singing this to kids?
yeah,
Like
man.
certain
That's
stuff
kind
we
of
would not
crazy.
have knowingly signed on for, but when you have
Yeah,
someone else making the decisions for you and you don't show up, you better be ready for a lawsuit. I mean, there's been times like that where we've done shows for high schools that like they all got straight A's, or they all, if you get your grades up a certain amount or get your perfect attendance, you win a concert with As Yet. And they would tell us, okay, you can change the lyrics to instead of I was inside of you, change it to I was in love with you, right? But meanwhile, when we come out and they're in the playground singing the dirty lyrics back to us, I'm like, are we the bad guys here? Like, it's not something we wanted to do. Especially like as a father, I look back on these things and it's like those are the hindsight is 2020. But I do know that kids are exposed to all these things, but that don't make it right. Like if I had more say over uh, my own personal career, I wouldn't have done that.
Yeah, it could have been like an up tempo
Yeah, we have so
song
many
that the
other
kids can
songs that are
relate to.
clean.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was the hit. I'm not gonna blame somebody for loving the music, but I don't want to sing anything sexual to underage children ever. Like that's why. Like we got R. Kelly for that. No, I'm just
Yeah. It seems like you're ready. But yeah, man, it's crazy. But I tell you, man, it's crazy how that, goes because looking back at the show, it had, all of you there, even the rappers and stuff. I'm like, what did they do about it? Leave that stuff for Soul Train, Showtime Paulo, shows like that. But
Hey, they
that's
put us in
something.
shows with Wu-Tang, man, and those were fun shows. They put us in shows with because sometimes it'd be like a festival of variety. So like, they mix it up. And we used to kick it with Goody Mob at one point. We kicked it with Wu-Tang, The Roots, um, Redman, you name it. Like a lot of the New York scene because our parent company was Arista. So and then of course hanging out with like Erica Badu or Mary J and all them like just in common company, all doing radio spots. That they used to do all these press junkets and stuff. I have never been to a Puffy party, although I've been to parties that Puffy showed up at. But he sucked all the oxygen out of the room, and I, I
Ah,
I
man.
can't. I'm not a party person like that. I get like this when it's too much shit happening, and
Yeah.
I'm like, I can't. There's certain personalities that just like, I don't like narcissists or overtly attention-seeking type. You know, that's just not for me. And then on top of that, you hear the stories firsthand years ago, and people say, like for instance, I saw maybe you may remember there was a video floating around of R. Kelly in the 90s. In
Hmm.
the 90s. I saw that back then. What am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to
Exactly.
do? They've already reported him and nothing happened. Look, what am I supposed to do? Like I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you right now if I said half the things that
Yeah,
I
cause
say. I'll just put it that way.
yeah, I
Did I mention I'm not
remember.
suicidal?
Yeah, because I remember though when I was getting my hair braided, the time I was rocking braids, and I remember one of the hairstylists said, "Hey, there's a videotape of R. Kelly and stuff," and they showing that, and I'm like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, whoa!" Now looking back,
Yeah.
I'm like, "Pause, time out, man,"
Right, right.
you know, and stuff. Yes, it's sad how that goes like that, man. Now from there, you guys, okay, the second single, you guys did a cover of Chicago's single called "Hard to Say I'm Sorry." And it's hard. It's one to make it a cover, but for it to be a hit, just like how it was back in the day. Oh man, like who came with the idea with to do this cover? Oh, okay.
Thank you very much. Um, Basically, I've been through a situation leading up to the time that I had. I love that the original song, the Chicago version of the song. I've like, you remember the Karate Kid? How they had that "You need a man who will fight for your honor,"
Yeah.
right?
Oh,
Like I used to
classic.
love stuff like that too. Like I just, certain songs just have like that good kind of like emotion to it, and it didn't matter that it wasn't an R&B song. But I just going through a breakup, and it was like during the holidays, and everybody was in different parts of town. So I'm by myself with my little Tascam Porter studio, and it just felt like something to do to get over the heartbreak because it was hard. It's hard for me to say I'm sorry when you the one that messed up. But anyway, make a long
Mhm.
story short, I put together this arrangement. Like I demoed it on this multi-track cassette where it's only 4 tracks. So the fifth part I had to sing it live and bounce it down to another tape.
Yeah.
And I took that demo to Babyface. Uh, you know how them tapes be all hissy, and
Yeah.
right? But he heard that concept in the demo. The arrangement that made the record is the exact arrangement, like down to pretty much the runs and
Wow.
everything. Um, and I was honored that when we finished the recording, David Foster agreed to be part of it. And there's a remix version where Peter Cetera is actually singing the bridge out. And today's kids, when they see that video, they're like, "Who's the old white dude in the video?" And it's like, that's his song. But no, seriously, I got to witness two of the greatest to ever do it, and
Wow.
be a fly on the wall to learn from them. It's not about like ego or greatness. It's about just being able to communicate an idea from inside you that connected with someone whose idea connected with you. It's like a mutual admiration society, and it really set the bar high for me because that was my first professional production, co-produced, with Babyface and David Foster. How do you follow that? How do you
Yeah.
follow that? You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
it set the bar for me, and that's probably why I haven't put too many projects out, because it's got to be really special if I'm going to do something. I just don't throw stuff out to throw stuff out, you know.
Yeah. It was all about timing, man. And I'm glad that you really set the record straight because you being one of the most important figures, the mastermind of, you know, creating this as that sound. Because a lot of times when you see interviews, not to point out, but they try to make it like, oh, it all came from me. You know what I'm saying?
You can buy the CD. The credits are on there. If you see,
Hmm.
now that with this age of streaming, they don't tell you who the arrangers are anymore or the co-producers, only the main writers and the main top line producers. But when you buy the CD and you open that liner, it says co-produced by Shawn Rivera, arranged by Shawn Rivera. I know because I was there. I ain't got nothing to prove. But I have seen a lot of interviews. Like, I'm not trying to drag nobody, even when they try and drag me, because I'm too heavy to be drugged. And I ain't got time I don't have the crayons to explain it to everybody. Life is short, and I wish everybody the best. But yes, I'm very aware that there's most of the times groups fall apart because of egos. Um, and my thing is, why would anybody want to take credit for something that's not theirs? The first thing that I mentioned was how I learned how to arrange from Claude Thomas, or Babyface and David Foster are the ones who co-signed it. You wouldn't even know who I am. Not that I care if people know who I am, but
Yeah.
again, give credit where credit is due. It's okay. It doesn't take any hair off your chin uh, to actually acknowledge people that helped you along the way or people that inspired you. Like I'll never
Mhm.
understand.
Yeah, but I tell you, man, ego trip, man. This is it's sad, pretty much. Like how that goes. Like, unfortunately, because it's strange though because like here it is, this album certified platinum in the U.S. I could imagine what it doing, other countries worldwide sales. That's a whole different
Man,
animal right
we
there.
toured 40 countries in 6 weeks, pretty much. I mean, we've been back to a few dozen as well, but I mean, the first run, I don't know if you remember how they used, well, I'm sure you remember, but how they did it back in the day. A lot of the boy bands,
Mhm.
the other those type of bands, they would break them overseas first to get their feet wet and then bring them back for the US tour. But with us, because our competition and their management, which again, they decided that they were our competition. What I mean by this is the reason why we went overseas first was because 112 and it was 112 and Silk and these all the other groups were either on the Bad Boy tour or the Budweiser Superfest and Drew Hill and all them, and it got back to us that they said they would pull out of the tour if we were on it with them because we had performed with them before and they didn't like the way we would steal their audience or whatever it might be. We just show up and do what we do. If we
Yeah.
happen to draw your fans to me, I'm like, hey, I want to see everybody win. Let's keep this whole thing going. Again, I don't understand why people are like this. So we didn't have a tour to go on. So we went overseas, but we did like Sweden, Ireland, Germany, Amsterdam, Indonesia, Thailand, Hong Kong, Japan, Korea, Australia, you name it. Like we just like 2 and 3 days in each city, maybe a rest day here, rest day. Well, the stories we could tell. We went #1 in several of those countries and were asked back several dozen times. You get to see a broader sense of the world. And the song that took us there was Hard to Say I'm Sorry, because a lot of these other countries are a little bit more conservative with the lyrical content. And so we wound up getting these two different fan bases. Now, as much as I'm proud of having chosen the song that I didn't write, but chose it and produced and arranged it with Babyface and them, I just finished puffing my chest out. I still think it shouldn't have been the second single, because the way that labels worked, that you build a fan base amongst your people and then you branch out. Then you quote unquote crossed over. That was the way people did it. But we had a whole career in one album. You know what I'm saying? We went from
Wow.
like from one side to the other and we were done. And how could we be from Philadelphia and not have one hip hop song, not one up tempo, not one cameo?
It's crazy.
That's what did not feel like us. And then by the time you finally show them who you are, they don't believe you because they're like, "Now put the white suit back on." You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
they
that's,
put
that's
they
crazy,
pigeonhole you.
man.
But again, I'm still grateful. I'm kind of glad people underestimate me because hey, I could use any advantage to my advantage. But at the same time, it's so unfair to a lot of artists who never got to show uh, the range of their It'd be like if you told Jamie Foxx, you know what? Um, you can't be Ray Charles because we need you to be Wanda. You know what I'm saying? We need to like just stay with that character because that was the one. And then you're like, but I've got all this so much other inside of me. Don't nobody care. They just want Wanda. They do that to artists all the time. And that's why you wind up getting an Andre 3000 flute album because he needed to, it was for his own healing to be able to do something he wanted to do, regardless of what people thought. And I've done some side quests like that where it's like, this project is a project in and of itself. This is not me trying to game the system or trying to appease the fans. Sometimes I get an idea or someone calls me in to do something and it's just fun or it's just cool. It don't have to be. I had a whole rock band for 6 years that people know about, don't even know I was in as yet. Like I went to other countries that never heard of as yet. And like whenever they see me, they
Wow.
gonna think of me differently, you know?
That's
But
crazy, man. It's crazy how that goes like that. Because I
yeah.
always wonder, I was like, heard these guys got two singles out. I'm like, what about the third and the fourth?
Okay, so there was an unofficial third single, meaning that a radio station here in Philadelphia, WDAS, um, had picked up Arrow Through My Heart, and a few other stations were playing it. Shout out to Patty Jackson. I mean, there's a few
Yeah,
people who really got behind that song because it was a. You say what you want about Brian now, like what he's going through now is a
yeah.
whole other conversation. But he was again one of my heroes because we used to sing his songs. We knew about his connection with Take Six and whatnot, and Arrow Through My Heart was our unofficial third single, but by then, LaFace was already transitioning. They're about to liquidate the whole roster. Some artists went to J Records, some artists, signed here and signed there, but we had no place to land because we were still trapped in a management contract. Still, we had a 7 album deal and only started. We recorded enough songs maybe for 7 albums, but we had to settle out of court because our other option was to join a class action lawsuit. And did you see how long it took? It took TLC so long to settle their thing that one of the members
Yeah, I
didn't live
remember
to see
that.
it. You know what I'm saying? Now, we made a calculated decision that it wouldn't take us 7 years to find another record deal. And we did wind up signing to DreamWorks and recording some really good stuff that, again, DreamWorks wound up getting absorbed. SKG, DreamWorks Music. Um, so Blackstreet was there. We were signed with a lot of great artists over there, but the projects never came out. So there's a lot of great producers that we work with who didn't make the first record, who made enough songs for a second record. I mean, we worked with everybody from Diane Warren to Brian Alexander Morgan to the Underdogs, the whole nine, you name it,
Wow.
like so many great producers. So if if I had to pick it, not that it matters, but I would have put Arrow Through My Heart as a follow up or another ballad, and then let the last single be the crossover. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mhm.
if you earn a second single, then surely you at least throw one more out there. If you're going to invest $1 million plus on an album, you should get at least a third single if the first two go platinum, right? We should have at least had a third single, but you know what? I understand why there were so many internal problems that had nothing to do with us, and we had our own problems that had everything to do with us, and the conflict of interest with the management, a recipe for you know,
Yeah,
disaster.
yeah. Because I remember '98, and I remember I just came home. It was like during summertime, and I see Mark just went solo, and I'm like, wait a minute. I said, what the hell? I said, well, you just with the group,
But
and
he was with Boys to Men first, so he went solo
yeah, boys.
again.
Yeah, and then also I think about that too. I said, man, y'all from one to go to another. I'm like, what you doing, man? They said, don't diss like that, but just the honest truth, That's what I'm thinking about. Like, well, there are artists they use groups to hopefully restart their own careers or whatever, it
we
is,
well, we were definitely used.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I'll just say this: I've expended countless calories um, giving my take on Mark Nelson. His career speaks for itself. His talent speaks for himself, and he can speak for himself.
Yeah. Man, the rest is history.
Yep.
And, oh man, big shout out to Lovely Radio Show. Check it out the show.
Hey.
And my boy Keith, he said, have you ever worked with Voices of Theory?
Oh, as a matter of fact, oh, okay. So Keith knows about the Philly legacy then, because Voices of Theory was the first Puerto Rican R&B group from Philly out here that made noise. They really made, like we knew who they were. We worked as yet when we were as yet Untitled. We all had worked with some of the same, you know, people, same producers, same vocal coaches, arrangers, you name it, right? Like Leon Evans, who passed away. Leon Evans was a genius. We tried to put him in our group, but they said he was too old. But make a long story short, um, I came to when I came back to Philly, um, I started working with these guys, Viva Ma. So you may have heard of. I put a few things on my page with it.
Oh yeah, yeah, I
Awesome.
love you, Boss. Yeah, I love
And
you, Boss.
yes, and we're still working on. We got a lot of material that we're putting together. And the bass in our group, Eric, was actually in Voices of Theory at one point. So it was kind of cool to get back a little piece of that history to keep it going. You know what I mean? So we
Yeah.
always had love for them, you know. But yes, I did not get a chance to arrange or work with them. But again, I worked with one of their former members and still currently working with them. And then I come to find out, according to the magic of 23andMe, that he's my blood cousin twice removed. So I wound up being related to
Well,
like, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, we're not all related just because we're Puerto Rican, but I was like, oh, okay. Like I knew me and you kind of on a wavelength. All of us are like brothers, but that was the one thing I loved about Voices of Theory was that they had a nice sound. They represented well. They had a strong, like presence. It just did. There were a lot of great groups that never got their shine. They just need a little more time or a little more back end. So many things had to come together, and a lot of it is not the artist's fault. A lot of it is, but it's almost like being in the NBA. Like the courts are full of people that can play, but so many things have to come together, and most of it is not up to you. It's not up to me. You know.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I totally agree. Now I remember because it was already in your bio. I remember the project you was doing for Maya Angelou,
Hmm.
and how that situation. So here it is. Things are like being stalled with the whole as yet thing. So you thought to yourself, okay, let me shift my focus onto this and see
I,
what's
I
going
wish
on.
that it was that easy. I mean, this is what happened. It'd been 7 years. I'd been moved on from as yet because the writing was on the wall. It's some people think that you should chase what worked and stick with that. But what they don't see is that a house divided amongst itself will not stand. And when someone or someones continually demonstrate that they're willing to destroy you, you
Uh,
don't reward that kind of behavior. I'm doing the world a favor by not empowering people. When someone puts a knife in your back, you don't give them a gun. I've been done moved on. I went and got a band. I went and bought a studio. I started writing and recording and just making music. But then I got burnt out because I realized that no matter where you go in Hollywood, the kinds of people who are in charge and who can make things happen for you want you to bend over. It's
Yeah.
not just a rumor. I was depressed and burnt out. I wound up in a storage shed looking for a cassette to record my suicide note on.
Wow.
And I come across this audiobook from Maya Angelou. And I just pressed play to hear what was on it before I recorded over it. And there was something in the tone of her voice that just snatched my soul like she was talking to me. And I couldn't, it became like my obsession to bring she saved my life without ever having met me. Because when I heard her story, like everyone knows who she, or thinks you know who she is. You know, most of us have seen her before. The streets named after the woman. But her autobiography resonated with me. And I said, you know, she's been through more than I'll ever go through. I have no right to complain. You know what? I want to help other people that might be going through this thing, who might be
Yeah.
discouraged. And I wanted to bring her message to a broader audience. I did not plan this, but I became obsessed with getting it done. So I took the audio from these cassettes, and I would remic them and sample them. This is like way before Auto Tune the News and Shmo Yoho and all these people started doing this.
Yeah.
I was 7 years ahead of that. 2007. It's 11 years from 1996 to 2007. It wasn't my next move. It was my last move. I was going to be done
Wow.
after this. But because things started coming together and I answered that call, 7 years after I started the album, I had no money, no budget, no nothing, just some equipment and some ideas. And people would hear what I'm doing and say, hey, can I be on it? And I said, I ain't got no money, but if this thing ever, you know, if I could ever get a tour or something happens, you know, I'll make sure you at least get paid for your session, whatever, right? So everything was started out as a word of mouth thing. And one thing led to another. And shout out to Alex Alessandroni, a great friend of mine who's also an extremely talented music director extraordinaire. I met him, I was Babyface's music director, but he's done Natalie Cole on down. Like this guy's a living legend.
Wow.
He took my little demo to a friend of his that knew Maya Angelou make a long, I could go on, but to make a long story short, what I say earlier about how sometimes it's not up to you. I did it for the love of it with no guarantee that anything would happen. She got wind of it, co-signed it. Next thing you know, I'm on a yacht with Oprah and Quincy Jones and Maya Angelou. I'm at her 80th birthday party, you know, at Mar-a-Lago, and I'm meeting all these people who all loved it and they thought it was cute and like different and whatever, you know. But I never did it for fame, money, or recognition. It just felt like the only thing I wanted to do. I get consumed by music, and a vision will pull me toward it.
Yeah.
So it is what it is. I don't care if it ever sells a billion copies. I haven't made, you know, anything noteworthy financially from it, but that's not due to bad business deals or anything else. It's just that um, it costs a lot of money to market a project, and she's no longer with us. There's things to deal with the estate and everything else. I would love to revisit that project and have everyone hear it. Um, every day people call me or send me a message like in my DM saying, you know, my kids just did a dance, choreographed a dance to the song. You know what I mean? Like it did reach the people it was supposed to reach. So I consider it a success. I'd do it all over again.
Yeah.
Oh,
I think it's amazing, man, you know, because I remember, man, you know, I think, it was crazy because she was just now starting getting her flowers. And she should have been having flowers before, she was getting love, but to have it go across board, around the time you was already, working with her and everything, man. I mean, she was like finally, she finally got her just due, you know what I'm saying?
well, I was
That
glad to
takes
be
so
able to
long.
introduce my daughter to her, my oldest, November. Shout out to November Rivera. You know, for them to have gotten to meet before she passed, you know, that's something that you can never take away, you know, to feel
Yeah.
that kind of energy. And definitely, if you haven't heard Cage Bird songs, now, It's harder to find now because it was a limited edition, but the physical copies, it's a double disc set with the fold out, and the artwork was done like uh, artwork was done by the guy who did the Hard Rock Cafe logo and House of Blues logo. Worked with the Beatles. You name it. Like this guy won Grammy awards for his covers. Alan Aldridge. He's a
Wow.
legendary artist. Like the people that got behind it, um, they felt the inspiration. They were people who I thought reflected Maya's determination and values. It wasn't, let me go find the hottest or most famous people. And so many people tried to wrestle this thing from me because I'm not necessarily the face that people would associate with the project. But I don't
Yeah.
care because that's not why I got into this. You know what I'm saying? It's the same thing with the
Mhm.
music. You do what you love and let the chips fall where they may. I mean, understanding the game doesn't mean you have to play it their way. And it wasn't a game for me. This is life. So if you don't like the face on it, then don't look, just listen. You know,
Man,
and then
no,
y'all had all this lifetime, like you said, look, while she was alive, I don't see nobody else giving her flowers. What they do is they'll sample her work and then she had to come and go back and sue them. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
so I'm like,
it's crazy.
I do something from the goodness of my heart. That no good deed goes unpunished.
What
But no, you
caught
know
my
what though? I'm so thankful to this day. To this day, there's a village of like-minded individuals uh, who are all part of Maya's extended family, and you know we keep in touch, and it's a wonderful thing. Like that was worth it, just for the friends you make along the way. I know it sounds cliche, but it's true.
no, I tell you, like that other guy put that together, I think it's totally awesome. It's funny you mention that though, because when I discovered her earlier life before it led to the poetry and everything, and I was like, what, she was doing this? It's like she been through the mud, man. I was like, listen, I thought I was through some stuff, but not like that, man.
I mean, the thing is, right? I could relate to what it was like to grow up in an abusive household. I could relate to what it's like to be the first in some ways. Obviously, I'm not anywhere near trying to compare myself to her, but I saw a very similar journey where um, she could have had a plaque just for being the first black female streetcar driver in San Francisco. Like just that alone during those times would have been hard enough. Like way before she got to the Nobel Prize, and way before she was on the Southern Leadership Conference. Like there's so many firsts and so much courage that it took for her to stand in the face of that much adversity that people only look many people only look on the surface and see the awards, the accolades, or the net worth. But the the legacy that you leave behind is every person that you touch. And I just wanted to give her her flowers while she's still alive. Like, and that I say mission accomplished. However, the final result um, of the record is only the beginning. Like a lot of things didn't make the album. A lot of the things got remixed even after I delivered the project. Um, you know how companies do. It is what it
Yeah.
is, but it was worth the sacrifice and the compromise. And I never wanted to ever appear to be even slightly exploitative. Like I'm not out here, trying to take advantage of an association. I want to live up to it, and I don't always. And that's the sad thing about this modern era is that we know too much about people. Um, and the bad stuff, bad news travels before good news can get its shoes on. So the minute you make a mistake, anyone associated with you gets questioned, you know? So you got to be real, you got to be real squeaky clean because the best believe they're doing the background checks before they even let you be associated.
Ooh.
And
Yeah,
I'll,
you
I'll
better get
just
ready
leave it
for
at
it, man.
that. You know, I don't even got no parking tickets. So,
Man, you getting ready for stuff like that, man. Man, I tell you, I'm surprised nobody ever mentioned this in any of your interviews. You are the innovator of the popular cajon-style drum SlapBoxx.
all
How did
right.
that come about?
When I was like many kids in grade school, I used to beat on the tables and make beats, when everybody's rapping and whatnot, and do the Planet Rock, right? And everybody would do the thing,
Yeah.
right? And I would put my head to the table and say, man, if I could take that bass with me, boy, like there's got to be a way to take that knock and carry it around. I didn't know anything about cajones or the history of like how box drums were once a form of communication when the slaves were brought and all those things. I didn't know nothing about that. I just wanted to bring that knock box everywhere, right?
Yeah.
And I made some drawings, and you know how you ever see the things on it? This is way before As Yet. I was like 15, right? So I made these drawings, and then I saw this commercial for Invention Submission Corporation, and I said, oh man, maybe I'll try that. Of course,
Yeah.
you know, they it was helpful in the fact that they show you what you would need to get a trademark, but the cost of getting a trademark and is not worth it when they can change one thing and then somebody stole your idea and ran with it. So I'd kind of got discouraged by it, right? I'm like, I got this idea. Well, oh well, I'll put it away. Then after the record came out and I had some downtime in between to think about it. I'm looking at my old drawings, and I said, man, there's got to, maybe I should. That was when I said, what was my next move? I was going to do that. I want to see that because that was like the childhood me just wanted to make a thing. So then I was at the NAMM convention, right? Every year they have the, music convention or whatnot. And I saw this, there was a box drum being made. It was just a square drum, with a hole in it, right? And I liked the sound of it. And I said, you know what? I'm going to play this while I'm singing. And somebody saw me playing and singing on the video. And I was explaining to Groove Tubes microphones. I said, yeah, I've actually got a design for this thing. But, this is all I got right now. This is the closest I could find to what it was that I wanted to do. I liked the materials, but the design was nowhere near as sophisticated. I wound up meeting the guy who made the box drum that I played at the place. We signed a non-disclosure. I showed him the drawings. He made it the shape, the ergonomic shape, so you can put it in your lap or you can sit on it. Like we worked together and made a non-exclusive license for this particular version of my idea. His company was Slap Drum. My thing was the hot box. We made the SlapBoxx. It's still for sale out there. You can find it right now. It's still out there. Now, I'm not saying that I'm getting the best deal from this situation, but let's just say that I'll save the details of our arrangement for the courts. But I'm still thankful to have yet again seen another idea go from inside to outside and to bring something to the world, to market, to life.
Yeah.
I'll leave marketing for the marketing people. If you think it's a good idea, you can market it. People market bad ideas all the time. So why not market something good? They can sell us poison and make us love it. I could make a box with a hole in it.
As time went on and stuff, going, see how the music scene changed. Also, like here come Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. You think to yourself, you know what? I can really get a chance to break my history, show my talents, and show different layers of me on social media. You thought to yourself, like, okay, this is go time. I wish we had this back in the '90s. What that would have
You know
done for
what?
me.
It's this interesting that you say that, because every new technology that has been introduced is usually associated with one of two responses. It's, oh my God, this is going to ruin everything. Or this is going to change the game, and now it's going to even the playing field. They said the same thing about synthesizers, sampling, auto tune, you name it. Like whenever a new thing comes out, people get threatened by it, or they learn how to work with it. There's always ethical concerns. There's always people who are early adopters and people who still ain't on board and never will be. Right. So my take on social media in the beginning, I was kind of late to it because I grew up in the kind of area that you can't be looking at your phone when you're walking. Well, you must be a tourist. Like you're gonna get robbed like that. You crazy. Like you better not come down my street trying to film something. Like right. So it never even crossed my mind in the beginning. And then I got into Facebook maybe a year or two after, and I said, okay, well, this is just a place to kind of put some things
Yeah.
out. I didn't really take it that serious, but I did see the potential to reach more people. But I still, to this day, have ethical concerns about the way that some people are vulnerable to, I'll just say manipulation,
Yeah,
misinformation, and it's become so normalized that I don't want to hear about your marital problems. I don't want to hear about what you do uh in bed. I don't want, like there are places, if I want to hear about politics, I will go to a political channel. If I now that's I'm not
facts.
saying that I don't care, but what I'm saying is
Yeah.
that if I'm on if I want to know a recipe, right, I'm gonna go to a cooking channel. I don't want them to interrupt the cooking channel to tell me who to vote for, right?
Exactly.
So it's kind of getting to this point. Now with AI, a very similar thing where it's like, okay, we're hearing all the worst parts of AI, the easy gratification, people making slop and crap. But what they're not hearing is that it's been around, and people who are veterans in the game, who've been playing music with instruments their whole lives, are finding ways to revitalize their catalog. So why punish the good with the bad? Like you can't just throw a blanket over all social media or all AI or all auto tune. Like you got auto tune rappers, and then you got T-Pain. You know what I'm saying? Like there's
Mhm.
no matter what it is, there's this cyclical pattern that comes. And I think that there's going to be a wave of people who are going to see the opportunity. Like with social media, it's a blessing and a curse. It's the same
Yeah,
with AI. It's going to be the same with whatever they come out with next year, you know?
yeah. You know what's funny, man? I'll be looking at this one YouTube channel, and every time I get on there, I would check my views or whatever. I keep seeing this page. It would show groups what it looked like when it first came in, what it looked like now. And now it just hit me. I said, watch, somebody gonna do an AI video and have like Shawn Rivera 96 with Shawn Rivera 2026. Like I just
Nice.
walked down the street.
Well, the funny thing is, two days ago, somebody tagged me. Uh, it's on my Instagram. I can't remember who it is off top, but dang, where they did a tribute to all the groups, kind of in chronological order, and
Yeah,
I didn't. If they hadn't tagged me, I was not expecting to be in the same lineage because they've got like the Temptations on there and Earth, Wind and Fire, but obviously
yeah.
Boys and Men and all them, right? And it was crazy because when you see a still picture and then it goes like this and it moved, I said, "Oh,
Scary,
I
man.
remember doing that. I didn't move. I swear. I was but I love it. I'm the kind of person where I can separate my ethical concerns for how a technology is being misused. Hello, we live in a land that was acquired unethically. So let's keep that same energy. If that's the case, if you got a problem with technology because of the way it rips off artists, you might as well boycott the record labels for ripping off the artists. Just don't listen to music. You got a
Yeah,
problem with the AI wasting water? Oh, cut off YouTube then, and your phone, and keep that same energy for the kids in the Congo. I'm not saying that any of it is right. However, what we can try pissing on a forest fire, or we can plant some seeds for the future and try to figure out what we're going to do within this
yeah.
paradigm that we find ourselves in.
Facts. Yeah, man. Because I was telling my sister, I was like, never do AI on me. My thing like is, make sure you get the age right. Well, I was when I was a teenager.
Right, right. Can you
And
spell
make
my
sure you
name
get the
right?
age right of the president. Make sure you get my straight hair right. Then we good.
I was look, me and my wife were watching I'll Be Sure and Lunel, right? And they've been doing the AI videos. But so people are like, wait, are they really together or are they not? But they're just using the AI to kind of like, animate their celebration. I think it's cute. You know what?
I,
It's cute.
I like it though, man.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm down with because I can see the potential for any technology in the hands of a musician becomes an instrument. So
Yeah,
I'm anti-theft. I don't like the idea that artists are getting ripped off. Um, However, that's not what I'm doing with AI. Why should I
yeah,
be, penalized for that? Or am I supposed to wait until they settle that in court? And we always know how that turns out.
yeah,
Look, you're going to wind up leaving the technology in the hands of people who are less authentic, less talented, but more ambitious, and that's what they want. So I'm not saying you have to like it or love it, but those of us who've been around the block have seen this same song and dance, and
yeah.
I'm down. I'm here for it. If they ban AI, I can still make music. Look, I don't need electricity to make music. You know what I'm saying? I could just cut a whole box. You know what I'm saying? I ain't tripping. I ain't tripping either way. But I do love to see, for instance, when the auto tune came out, you know, oh, that's not real singing, it's cheating and blah, 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 blah. I went out and bought me an Antares rack, and I said, I'm gonna use this because I like the way it sounds. But nobody wanted to hear it coming from me. You know what I'm saying? Because they're like, why would a
Mhm.
real singer want to use that? Ask yourself
Wow.
in the question lies the answer. There must be something to it if a real singer wants to use it. Ask T-Pain that question. You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
But I'm not here to defend or attack the technology because it's neutral. I just think I wish that they had found a way to ethically tag any artist whose work was used without their permission and get them paid. But they're not doing that with real artists. So why are they going to do it with fake artists? And again, this is not to say that they don't deserve it. Look, if somebody said to me, look, every time you sing a Stevie Wonder riff, he gets $3. Okay, it ain't my $3. It's coming from the label that's paying me. You know what I'm saying? Like, look, I'd pay him $3 to sing the riff. You know what I'm
Man.
saying? So I'm not against anybody. I actually understand why people are so against it. Number one reason is usually because of ethical concerns. It's not, and they're not being exposed. They're only hearing the garbage because the garbage floats at the top. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's the
Yep.
easiest thing to do. Like type. I've never used ChatGPT because I think I have enough words of my own. But you can use it for anything can be used for good or evil, you know. But it's like an arms race. So like personally, I wish I didn't have to carry a gun. But if everybody else is carrying a gun and I got a family to protect,
Yep.
I'm leaving the guns in the hands of people who are less with less integrity and I'm just gonna fist fight, I guess, because I want to be, let's say, morally selective, you know. And it's all this still doesn't make guns right. You got to go to the top if you want to, like, you want to direct your rage toward the people who created the situation, not the people who are trying to figure out a way to work in it, you know. Anyway, this is a rant for another time, but I could go on, man.
Man, yeah, definitely, man. You know, it's funny you mentioned that though, because I remember there was a post. I think it was sometime last year that a handful of artists got mad that a AI artist was nominated for a Grammy, and I'm like, that's the case. You know, go ahead and get mad at the comedians got nominated for a Grammy. Go ahead and get mad at the voice talking stuff. Yeah.
What you know? What I'm glad you brought that up. This is the way I see it, right? In the film world, we've been dealing with this for a while, meaning that, okay, if I'm a writer and I write a story that's based on my own true life experiences, and then it gets turned into an animated feature, or someone else plays me in the movie, right? It's the same thing in the sense that you the people who win the Grammy, it's not the artist, it's the machine behind the artist that wins the award. Now, me personally, I don't even see the need to create fake artists. I'm like, there's enough humans being fake artists. We don't need that at all.
Oh, man.
However, the project itself, right? If I decide to animate my songs using the wonders of technology to bring it, like I write songs for women, I write songs for guys, I write songs for tenors. I'm not a tenor. So if I want to use a voiceover or an animated character to do like stunt double work vocally to do something, as long as you're honest up front and say, hey, that is not me doing that, but it sounds great and the message is powerful. I don't care how it was made. I just want to know what it's inside it. What's the message? So, you know, you can use AI to make slop and mislead people, or you can elevate a message in a way that resonates with the younger generation. Like the K-pop Demon Hunters right now. This is one of the most famous. Look, your kid's gonna be watching it if they ain't watching it already, right? It's
Yeah.
on Netflix.
Mhm.
They literally have all the characters and all the songs they're singing. They don't exist either. They're all AI generated. What I have a problem with is somebody passing off someone else's work as theirs. That's it. Like if I got a song that sounds like Beyonce, like it's literally her voice, and I call it Beyonce, you know, like people, because people are doing these parody songs. Now, also AI is exposing how disposable all of these sound-alike artists are, because you can't tell me that um, every song has got four chords, the same four chords, no bridge, starts with a sample at the beginning, and somebody I can't tell half these artists alike because they all sound alike. The industry's been feeding on itself way before AI, and everybody, the labels want copycat artists because they want to copy success. It creates, stability for them. So if you got a problem with that, maybe that kind of exposes that maybe you're not that original. If you could be copied by a robot and fool the average person,
Mhm.
you better step your game up.
Yeah, that's real
I
talk.
mean, seriously, seriously. And again, this is not me defending AI. I'm just looking at the writing on the wall, because when they figure it out, is let's say it does go away. You can't make the thousands of songs an hour that people have already made before the law is about to get changed. They're coming out. We're just getting started, and the technology is only going to get better.
Yeah.
So this
Yeah.
may be where some people get off. This might be, your stop on the train, and I might get canceled for saying what's obvious to me. But then again, bookmark this and then come back to ask me again in 3 years, ask me again in 5 years. You know, I've been wrong before.
um,
Nobody's paying me to say this.
have your family or your close friends, have you ever talked about, making a documentary of yourself or like a biopic?
Yes.
If you did a biopic, who could you see play your early years, and would you do your later years, play yourself?
You know what? I've never been asked that question because yeah, but okay, yes. Um, I've been writing a book I'll say at the recommendation of Dr. Angelo. I wasn't sure if she was just trying to tell me to shut up because she's like, you should write a book, right? But I'm gonna look, when a world-renowned author tells you to write a book, you write a book,
Yeah.
even if you don't think. But no, I was a writer way before I sang. That was my first thing. Second of all, I just gave you my answer. Why do I have to deal with all these A-list celebrities, their managers, the narcissists, and the back and forth when we've got AI? I'm gonna make an AI. I'm gonna play myself in the movie, uh, and make an AI younger, animated, do whatever. I'll
That's
hire
perfect.
some. I mean, why not? That way, I'm not. My story is not overshadowed by the cult of personality,
Yeah.
because a lot of these folks got baggage. Now, however, when somebody comes with the money, right? This is what happens. They'll say, "Ooh, we love what you're doing, but if you want it to be, Paramount Studios backed, you've got to use, the people we've got the contracts with, right?" But then what happens is people think that just because they invested in the restaurant that they should change the recipe. Like all of a sudden they chefs now.
Yeah.
And if you have a vision that is true to you, that cannot be any other way, you have to do it your way or not at all. And that's what takes so long. And that's why someone like Sylvester Stallone, he pitched Rocky to so many people, but they didn't want him to star in it. And that's now what he's known for. Go figure. Well, he's known for a lot of other things, but another podcast. Um, but yes, sometimes when it comes to your own vision, you're either going to sacrifice your time for your art for the money, or a goat in a circle with some candles. No, I'm kidding. No, but seriously though, seriously, that is the hardest line to walk. Is how much are you willing to sacrifice to
Yeah.
get where you want? And the best artists are uncompromising. Rembrandt died penniless. The most one of the world's most famous painters. However, his art stood the test of time. I would rather die broke than with an unsung song or an untold story, because I can't take it with me. And if
Yeah.
you've done things the right way, you can die happy. If you've done the best you can, only regrets I have is wasting too much time. Wasting the time. If I've squandered a moment, I'm like, oh, can't get that back.
That's true. You're right about that. That makes a lot of sense. You just hit around the nail. I thought to myself, because you had to go through a whole cast list of people, man, to play you in certain parts. You had to sit down with them, talk about, okay, this is how I used to act, this are my mannerisms, and this
Well,
and
it's
that.
it's it's kind
Yeah.
of like this. The story, my particular story, um, is not about me. The story is so good that I don't have to be famous. Then that's what I want. I don't want people to think that, oh, this guy thinks he's somebody. why does he deserve to have his life story told? How about if I just tell you the story and you see if you enjoy it? Like the story should stand on its own. I shouldn't have to see the trailer. I should just walk in. Just the same thing with the music.
Yeah.
Back in the day, we didn't have no music videos until MTV made it a thing where you'd hear, you wouldn't know that Tina Marie was white. You just heard the song and loved it. And then, wait, she white? But you, by the time you found out what they looked like, you already loved it. And that's when I write something, that's where I'm coming from. Like, I don't care about the optics. I mean, it's nice if you have it, but all that other stuff, all that politicking and all that, I don't watch it. I don't get caught up in all of that. I let the marketing people think about the marketing. I'm going to put the story down and make sure that it is, ironclad, and listen to people I respect, and to take advice from along the way, and credit anyone who helps, and find a way to uplift people all the way there. And if my story never gets told, that's fine too, because we all live in it. We just haven't made a movie about it.
Absolutely, because all your music man live right through you, so that will always outlive, as long as you still on this earth. So that's like the whole Sean Kurt Riviera biography story right there.
You know what? I'm more concerned about whether the planet will survive, let alone my music. I,
Yeah, you ain't lying.
I mean, I don't know. Like you kind of. The world doesn't need more great songs. They need more great people. They need more good stories, more good content, not more spokesmodels for the label. I mean, there's everyone gets in the game for a different reason. I ain't knocking nobody, but
Yeah,
like I said, I think by 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 a standard metric, one could look at what I've done and say, hey, that's more than most.
absolutely, absolutely. What I like about you, you're very authentic, and man, do like the gems drop, man. I done had a lot of gas that drops some gems to a certain extent, but yours is real, definitely real and pure. And I'm looking at the comments, I'm like, man, at the first I see people really related to that. Instead of second guessing, be like, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, dude. I tell you, man, I mean, yeah, my favorite interview, say my top 10.
Oh man, so far,
Yeah, man,
so
so
far.
far, man, I
But man,
definitely appreciate that.
I hope that we can open up a broader conversation later on down the line. I'm always
Oh yeah,
employment,
definitely.
you know, as girl dads got to stick together. But also just because I see how much you put your health and self
Yeah.
on the line to keep this thing going, to help spread awareness to people and just share the love of those of us who are still around who love R&B as
Yeah.
soul.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. And I told my mother, I said, thank God that you had me I was born in 1981. Thank God you had me back then, because, man, I would know without first I would have been, if I was born like very late, I've been bad. I've been mad.
Brad,
I tell you, man, thank
I took a
God,
nap just for this interview. I had to take a nap just so I could and have a cup of coffee. Like I got a session after this. I'm gonna probably record for a few more hours and then,
yeah. And yeah, before you get off here, man, I see some of your interviews, and I'm glad one thing I want people to understand is, and as you said this, and a big shout out to Nami, from Halftime Chat, some of my boys out in the UK.
Yeah, I'm gonna be on his show on Saturday.
On Saturday, okay,
Yes,
yeah,
indeed.
man, yeah,
Yeah, I love
real
that
good
I love
dude.
that you guys support each other because we both talking about different things, and I'm trying to be you know when I promise somebody an exclusive about something, I don't want to give away the goods on another show, but we all one big happy R&B family.
I was joking with him one day, man. I say, from a black Indiano to a Nigerian, man, like we can't be doing that, man.
Hey.
We cannot be doing that, man, to each other. But he always supported, man, and
Yeah, man,
he's
great
been a
cat.
fan of my work. I'm a fan of his, man. So that's what it's
Absolutely.
about.
Shout out MD. Hey, I'll
You
see him in a
know.
couple of days.
Oh man, it's gonna be huge, man. I can't wait. I'm looking forward to that. Yeah.
Yes.
Before we get off here, now you working on a special project.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Tell
So,
us about that.
all right. So, if you love R&B, old school R&B, grown folks business, we've got a project for you. I have taken a lifetime of work and curated it in such a way so that when you need some love in your life, when you want to hear songs that don't start with a sample and somebody screaming and a 4-bar loop, you want to hear something that sounds like what we grew up listening to, but for the modern era. Stay tuned because I will be announcing a release date on Namdi's show.
I
Because
love it.
I'm torn because, um, like I said, some people when they hear this, they're gonna the first thing they're gonna do is call me and say,
Yeah.
"What did you do?" Because it's not what everybody else is doing. This is not a joke. I really think that when people hear this, it's going to reframe the way they think about AI music as well. Because I used AI as part of a tool to bring music back to life that was otherwise unsalvageable. And it sounds as if you had been transported back into that kind, warm, velvety feeling of love. Look, if you need more than I don't know, 40 minutes to procreate, just put it on loop. But somewhere, somewhere in the next week or so, I'll be starting to do the quote unquote rollout. But it's one of them things where I'm not going to spend millions on ads or trying to game the algorithm. I'm going to put it out, and then it's timeless. I'm gonna keep mentioning it, bringing it up. But you shouldn't have to beg someone for love. I don't want none that don't want me. But this is the song for anyone who loves R&B soul. This whole record, um, and it's part of a series of music that again took me 30 plus years with some of the world's best musicians, some of whom aren't alive anymore, to
Wow.
put this together and bring it to you. The first one is R&B soul. There's also one that's more of a neo soul jazz. I've got children's songs, the stuff I did with the rock band I was telling you about earlier,
Yeah.
and it is really special. It's if it's the last thing I ever do, it will be the best.
Wow. Because you know what, you always had this great blend of like genre music in you, man. Just watching your live performances and your music videos, your singles, man. I'm like, this is like your universal all wrapped in one, man. You know.
Well, those of us who know our history, um, we are a tapestry. I'm a hybrid walk-in. There's
Yeah.
so much going through my veins, but I'm also aware that one what one looks like and what one is are not always the same thing. So I can feel blue-eyed soul. I can feel dark light, Filipino soul. It is not limited. Soulfulness shouldn't be limited to one genre. As long as you know where it came from and you honor and respect that, the sky's the limit. It's when people think they are the vibe instead of part of the vibe. I'm not the vibe. I'm just part of the vibe. And
Absolutely.
I would like to contribute to give back, um, to give back to the collective consciousness some more music that to me holds its weight in any playlist of people who love the kind of music that we do. And that's
Yeah,
it,
absolutely.
you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And I tell you, because growing up, I remember as a kid, it was like it about what genre it was, like it sounded good, but like everybody had a hit. You buy those cassette tapes or CDs, you be like, man, this bad. I got it, it's hot.
But I just had to say one last thing while it's on my mind. I don't know if y'all knew this, but I've been retired. I've been retired from the industry
Wow.
because it's not healthy for me mentally, physically.
Yeah.
What is now considered valuable as a commodity is attention, and I don't like attention. I like drawing attention to things I care about. Issues I care about, music I care about, but I'm not an attention seeker. And in order to gain access to the kind of quality to continue a career that started with Babyface and David Foster requires compromises that I'm not willing to make. This series of music that I'm putting out is the last thing I'll be doing
Wow.
because it would literally take me another lifetime uh, to go to repeat the process that got me here. And I've already
Wow.
graduated from that. I've gone through all of the music that never found its home. Um, and I may or may not appear live to sing it. If people want me to show up, that's all great. I would, but I'd rather sing at a wedding, doing cover songs than be disrespected, ripped off, uh, down talked, and turned into something I'm not. So
Wow.
love it or
Yeah,
leave
like
it.
that don't clear the
That's what
air,
you
man.
get. But seriously, like I'm not chasing nobody down for nothing. If you don't want free money, that's on you. Because sometimes when you come bearing gifts, people think it's a Trojan horse. Like nobody's that nice.
Yeah.
Why not? I lose money on every project I do. I don't do this for the money. Like in order to make money in this game, I'm not saying
Wow.
that there aren't better ways to do things, and there are gurus that'll sell you the rollout plan, right? But at
Yeah.
the end of the day, if you want something done at a certain level, you're going to have to join forces and resources with people. I already did that. That's what this upcoming project is, a celebration of my retirement from the BS, from the narcissists, from the gatekeepers, from all the formulaic thinkers who say that there's the reason why, like people, listen, I had an executive tell me once, the reason why As Yet didn't come out with a second record, like because y'all was doing that harmony. People don't like harmony no more. Why y'all singing all them notes? And I'm like, first of all, we never flopped. Nobody said
Yeah.
it. But
Fact.
second of all, you only one of us studied music and lived it our whole lives. Who the f- are you, right? I'm sick of waiting. I'm sick of waiting my quote unquote turn, or people trying to get the group back together. Like you're trying to bring me back to my abusers because you see a way to make some money. Now, if the gentlemen go to therapy, and I hope you guys are watching. I love you guys. You're my brothers. Get help. Find out who you are. When you realize that we are all on this journey together and that we don't need each other to be ourselves, then we
Fact.
can choose to be together to record a record. But I will never, ever, ever wish ill on you, any of you. I want to see the group win. I'm constantly promoting. If they had a project out right now, I'd tell you to go check it out. The last thing they dropped was in 2025. It's still out there. My thing is, um, if the fans watching want an original As Yet record with the original members, it is not going to happen. Um, it's not going to happen. If someone, like I said, if people continually stab you in the back, take food out of your children's mouth, there are things I can't talk about without my attorney present.
Wow.
You never give somebody another chance to stab you in the back, and I've given them several dozen, and each time, no good deed went unpunished. I never said I was perfect, but there's a difference between having a disagreement and somebody straight up stealing from you, lying on you in public, rewriting history. I mean, I was raised different. The streets raised me different. There's more honor amongst thieves. I'm sorry. I don't need to be famous. We're not going to relive that. And how about y'all rehearse? How about y'all come up with some material? Um, no one has come to me. No one outside the group either has come to me with a budget or a game plan to even reunite the group. People think there's some magical fame on the other side of getting the group back together. No, it ain't. You got to be better than we were back then because these kids are outworking us. These kids are out here every day on the grind. And what they lack in talent, they make up for in ambition. And you sitting around expecting shit to come to you because we all kicking it? I mean, it don't work like that. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. But, we're not masking today. We're done. We're like, for what? I'm too young and too old at the same time. We got too much life left to do the same. How many more tries? I'm not going back to an ex that cheated on me, let alone somebody that tried to ruin me. Or you must be kidding me. And you want the original members?
Man, That
See,
ain't
I
gonna
got a group
happen.
called Viva Mas. We good. We're gonna make a great record. It won't be an Angelou record. It'll be a Viva Mas record. I'm not gonna put my high school jersey back on just because it still fits. For what? Relive the glory days like I'm Al Bundy and shit. You know what I'm saying? I'm sorry, but I can't put it any more plainly. I wish, I wish. I will know when they've gone to therapy because the conversation will resonate in a different way. When you're trying to help somebody, but they feel like they're being attacked, you know they're not ready. But this ain't the
Yeah.
movies, you know. This ain't the movies.
It is sad, unfortunately. Some people stay like that, man, to the eyes closed. And it's a whole comprehension thing, and that's sick. When you know have your mind frame stay like that.
Hmm.
Because
Hmm.
some artists I see, I was like, I can't see myself interviewing them because once I know your character personally, nah, I can't have you on here, man.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I don't want to tear them down. I would look if they were on the show next week, because there have been times when I've been on the show, and they on another show, and blah 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 blah. I'm just I just want accuracy and honesty. I don't care about an apology. I don't need to be the bigger person. When someone shows you how small-minded they are, I'm already the bigger person. I'm not the better person, but I'm better for not dealing with anyone who will willfully harm you. Why? There's plenty of people I haven't given a chance to fuck me over yet. There's a whole world full of people who haven't done anything to me that I could be working with. And I'm so thankful to have met each and every last person along the way. They're my brothers. I have family members that I don't talk to as well, but I still love them from this safe distance. I had to protect my peace, protect my family, and I'm not always going to get things right.
Yeah.
However, I think those of us who have been to therapy come to find out where we were chasing our own tail, or why we made decisions. Uh, we did the wrong thing for the right reasons, or the right thing for the wrong reasons. And I'm willing to be accountable. This is not about egos or none of that. It's just a basic principle that not everything is meant. Uh, Forgiveness is for you, not for them. And I'm not even mad. I'm frustrated to see someone suffer by their own hand who I call my brothers. When I watch people hurting themselves and nothing I say or do, and when I predicted the outcome decades ago, and it turned out exactly the way that I saw it going, in spite of my best efforts to try and try again. And when I put my own standards of morality to the side and say, for the greater good, you know what? Normally I'd have fucking killed you, but because I can't bear to see you suffer, and because there is there are millions of people who want to see this happen. Let's try one more time. I've done that 3 other times in the last 30 years. And every time it somehow I wind up being villainized, and I wind up right back with, I told me so. I left the group before we signed the record deal, after we met Babyface, because I saw some shit that was unethical.
Wow.
I regretted that decision until I managed to come out on the other end of it with my sanity intact. I wish I could say the same for some folks.
Yeah, but it always a lesson learned, man. Uh, uh,
Man,
uh, Shit burns.
yes,
So that's for
indeed.
sure. Yeah, man.
Thanks
But
for
with
letting
that
me
being
get
said,
that off my chest, because
oh, no
the next
problem,
time you
man.
see me talking about the group, we'll be doing a deep dive on halftime chat, for for the album itself to be
Yeah.
celebrated. So you really, I don't know what it is about you, but you're so real that I forgot that this thing was even filming.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. Yeah, man. Just think, with me, my style of things is different from a lot of, platforms and stuff. And we definitely got to bring you on, man, and talk about fatherhood, and, things like
Please.
that, man. Definitely, he's silly. One of my friends said, Black Indiana. Yes. I've been telling you, I'm half black, half Native American. I'm on mom's side, and my dad's black. So
Hey,
and that's why I call
look,
myself Black
look,
Indiana.
that makes you 2/3 Puerto Rican.
Yeah. Because I tell you, man, for years I told my mom, I said, man, what am I? Because I was questioning myself. He was like, are you cute Puerto Rican and stuff? And I had to keep explaining stuff, Then when I saw the origin of it, I said, Okay, I got
Ah,
Spanish, you know, so that makes
uh-huh.
sense now, you know what
Well,
I'm saying?
yeah,
So
well, I've been accused of being light skinned. Uh, I'll say I resemble that remark.
hey man, you know, so I mean I take it as a privilege, man. So I don't complain, you know what I'm saying?
You know what? I can't take credit for the skin I'm in. I thank my mother, father, and ancestors and everyone else for whatever I got to work with the hand, what say, deal with the hand I'm dealt, whatever, you know?
Exactly, man. Man, but thank you for coming on here, man, taking the time and stuff. And I appreciate that. And I'm glad everybody enjoyed this interview and stuff. And like I said, man, you know, you're always welcome to come back on the show, man. And you know, and talk about whatever, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, hopefully, look, if I wait too long, you might have a whole football team of kids or something because every
Uh,
time we catch up, your whole life has done transformed.
I know, man.
Um,
Like every like 5 or 6 years, man, 3 or 4 years, always something, man. No, I told my PR big shout out to Miss V. I said, I know I got 2 girls. I said I want to at least have like a nice little size family. At least have like maybe 1 or 2 more, then I'll be straight. You know, hopefully it's go down the road, but who knows?
yes, indeed. Well, each one is my favorite. I'll just put it that way. All of my kids are my favorites. There's no way. That's like asking who your favorite finger is. Like you chop one off, you're gonna feel it.
Yeah,
So as long as you have enough love in your heart and hopefully enough of budget for where they won't suffer. Um,
yeah.
too bad. Um, be fruitful and multiply, brother.
You know it, man. Man, with that
Don't
being
let
said,
no other man call him daddy, and you're gonna be fine. You know.
yeah, because they ain't gonna happen. Don't worry, and no fools like tell. That's what they gonna show. man,
I think
man. But
some
all right,
some
my
things
brother.
can't be avoided though, but I know that
Yeah,
you've got the paternal instinct. I already know. I see the way you light
yeah.
up for your kids, and that's a beautiful thing.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that, man. You know, and I always try to expose people, you know, who I am. Besides, you know, people know me by the music and everything else and stuff. Yeah, man.
I'm always trying to hide my location because I got stalkers. So you got that. I don't want nobody knowing where I'm at until after I left. I'm dead serious, man, because it's crazy
It got
people out there.
to,
It's crazy
got
people out
to,
there.
man.
But at the same time, you gave me the platform in this moment to share a little more of myself than I normally do. And as I've gotten older, I have a lot less to lose, and I'm learning how uh, to be comfortable with the truth, regardless of how it makes me look. I'm not trying to say mask for anybody anymore. I have nothing left to prove. And I'm so thankful that you guys stuck around, everybody that stuck around in the comments. I will get to it. I'm not sure if I will right now because I'm going to call my wife and we'll be scrolling through it and talking for a minute. But please continue to support this brother. I know he got a Cash App. I should probably have a Cash App, but I can't. Look, I can't bring myself to beg for money without playing a box on the street or singing. Like I got to do something to earn it. So you know what? Just stream the record when I put it out there, so I can get 0.00005 cents that I split with all the co-writers. And
Yeah,
then
because
I'll do a
I had
direct,
a
what do you
fan.
call that, direct to consumer thing. We can talk about that another time. But yeah, look forward to a Sean slot of material this year, um, uh, coming out of retirement, quote unquote, just long enough to give you some more music before I'm dead.
Hey man, yeah man, I'm looking forward to the upcoming project. I'm definitely gonna support it, man. Because the last banger was hot. I know this right here, man, is gonna be something, man,
Thank you.
and everything, man. So,
Thank you.
man, like there you have it, everybody. The legendary Shawn Rivera,
Thank you.
and we are out of here. Peace.
All right. Ooh.